In our family, we like to have games that unite the different generations. Sometimes it's a card game, but for sure, even the youngest can play a game called Jenga, where you have a tower that you build out of logs. And then, around the table, you go in order, and you start pulling a log out to see how many logs can be taken out before that tower will fall over. And it's kind of fun, especially some of our really young members, as they begin to think they may be the one, they like to start changing places around the table to see if it will be someone else. That game teaches us a lot. We realize that not only with that tower, but our lives, without necessary supports, without strength, and if we keep pulling out those foundational elements, our life of faith can begin to get shaky. It's easy to begin to ignore the importance of prayer. That's one of the most important foundational items. And for us as Catholics, what we're celebrating tonight with the gift of the Eucharist and the power that Christ has conferred on his church to celebrate that mystery and to appreciate that his one priesthood continues on, and those ordained to that one priesthood, and to the service to which all of us have been called. Unless those elements, a life of prayer and Eucharist and service, are united, soon that tower of faith, meaning our lives, can begin to get shaky and maybe even topple over. Our first reading today is that the Lord needed to shake the tower of Pharaoh. The Lord sent him plagues, and they were serious plagues because the people of Israel were being kept in captivity. And then finally, the last plague, the passing over, meaning the firstborn son would be killed unless Pharaoh let his people go, and giving his own people the opportunity to take the blood of the lamb and place it on their doorposts so that the angel would pass over those homes and the Jewish sons would be safe. It took that before Pharaoh was shaken to the very depths. He realized God was at work, and now he let the people go. And the people had to be ready. It says they were to eat that Passover meal quickly, to eat it standing up. There's times I find myself guilty when I'm too busy eating a meal over the sink. This is different. This is not because of busyness. This is because the Lord is manifesting his power and how he is saving the people of Israel and allowing them to leave bondage for a land where they would be free. But you see, all of that has to do with things in this world. Jesus Christ is the new Passover. He doesn't come to pull logs out of our lives, out of our towers. In fact, Jesus comes to strengthen our lives, to put supports into how we are to live. Jesus gives us the priesthood so that we can celebrate his actions, the sacraments, and most of all, to celebrate the Eucharist, to receive his body and blood, soul and divinity, the food that nourishes us, that gives us strength, the food that has allowed martyrs to go to their death, witnessing to Jesus Christ, singing hymns of praise that they were found worthy of this chalice, who were willing to stand up for the truth of Christ. The Eucharist is the courage. It is for us the strength. It's for us the body and blood of Christ, so that you and I can be worthy witnesses in the world. And Jesus, as the world maybe pulls supports out of our life and calls into questions the teachings of our church, Jesus Christ in the Eucharist is there to put supports and strength back into our lives. That's why we must be close to the Eucharist and receive it daily if we can, in order to have that strength to be able to live for him. Jesus, when he celebrates the Eucharist, he washes the feet of his disciples. He who is teacher and Lord. And he says, fittingly so, for I am. But he washes their feet and says, I have given you a model. I have given you a way of life. And I've strengthened you with the Eucharist so you can be servants, servants of the Lord. Whenever anyone leads a life of holiness, the first title the church gives them is servant of the Lord. Servant of the Lord. Not someone who was good at social work or someone who was able to change the systems that keep people poor, but servant of the Lord, to do ministry with love, to do ministry to lead people to Christ, to go ahead and put into their hearts the strength of Jesus Christ, so that even in a pandemic, we live lives of hope and service with one another, unafraid, because Jesus Christ is always with his people. And the Eucharist we celebrate, little by little, as he changes bread and wine into his body and blood, he is changing this material world more and more by his grace, until the day he returns in glory. Every Eucharist prepares for that moment. And so we too, just like the people of the Old Testament, we eat this meal ready to stand up for our faith, ready to follow what Jesus preaches and teaches, and ready to be witnesses, unafraid to let people know the center of our life is Jesus Christ. Brothers and sisters, when we receive the Eucharist, it goes ahead and gives us the intimacy of the relationship with the Lord. But it also calls us to be witnesses and servants in the world, servants of God. Protect the gift of life. Protect the gift from the moment of conception. Care for the poor. They will be the ones to welcome us into the kingdom of God. Bring strength to those struggling through this pandemic. Have a heart for the homeless. Visit, if you can, even by cell phone, the sick. They are the treasures of God. They manifest his kingdom. and manifest to us why he gave us the priesthood and why we have the gift of the Eucharist. Well, we love to play Jenga in our family because we learn that at a certain point, if we pull out too many logs, that tower is going to fall. And nobody really likes to take responsibility. In our lives and for our church, let's not be like Pharaoh, to wait until God pins us against the wall, but instead help and support one another. Put prayer first. Put the Eucharist at the center. And put service, the care for others in the world. Make those supports so that our lives will be faithful and towers of faith strengthened by Jesus. Well, be good foot washers, but most of all, be holy. Follow Jesus, and one day we may be called by him at the end of our lives for the eternal banquet. Welcome, servant of God.